Hello everybody and welcome to another YouTube video. So in today's video, I am going to be doing a Q&A. I have a bunch of questions to answer. You guys asked me a ton of them, and I went through and I picked kind of the best ones, and I'll be answering those in this video. If you don't want to listen through this introduction, you can go look in the description. There's timestamps, and it will show all of the different questions and when I answer them. Anyways, before we get into the Q&A, I need to give a massive thank you to everyone here, everyone subscribed to the channel, and everyone who supported me through these kind of past 3 and 4 years, because today is officially the day that Tech with Tim, this YouTube channel, hits 500,000 subscribers. This honestly is unbelievable. It's kind of mind-blowing. I really don't even know what to say. This is nothing that I ever imagined myself doing, especially when I was younger. I never thought I would be sitting, talking to a camera, and having 500,000 people following me. And while just a massive, huge thank you to everybody, I can't say it enough times. You guys have changed my life, and really the past 2-3 years of my life have just been super positive. I've loved every minute of them because of this YouTube channel and the love and support that you guys show me. So genuinely, a huge thank you. I know a bunch of you are going to be like, oh, well, Tim, you help us with the educational content. True, but I would not be here and I would not be doing this if it wasn't for the love and support that you guys show me. So genuinely, a massive thank you. With that said, I have huge plans for this channel. This channel is not going anywhere. I want to go to 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, you name it. I want to have so much more content on this channel, do tons of cool stuff. And well, we're just getting started here on Tech with Tim. So if you guys are not subscribed, subscribe right now because there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming in the future. Anyways, let's dive into this Q&A. I think I have about 20 questions. Well, you'll see it in the description. I'm going to try to answer them kind of as fast as I can just so I can get through everybody's. And well, let's go ahead and begin. All right, so I'm here. I've got my laptop in front of me. I'm going to start answering some questions. So if you see me kind of staring over here, well, that would be why I'm reading the questions. Anyways, let's jump into our first question. This one is coming from who I think you guys refer to as the algo expert guy. And well, he says, what advice do you have for a YouTube channel with half the subscribers that yours has? And on a more serious note, what's one thing about you that YouTube doesn't know and would have no way of guessing? All right, so first question there, what advice do you have for a YouTuber with half the subscribers that yours has, or for a YouTube channel with half the subscribers that yours has? I'm just gonna say keep posting videos. That's gonna be my one piece of advice for you. And the second question, on a more serious note, what's one thing about you that YouTube doesn't know and would have no way of guessing? Now, this is a tough question. I've been trying to think about this answer to give you guys something interesting. I really don't have anything to tell you that's like super out there, super, exciting or super shocking per se. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself when I was younger, because you're probably, you wouldn't really be able to guess this. Anyways, a lot of people think that I'm just like, huge, super nerd sitting in front of the computer like 20 hours a day, just coding like all night and all day, filming videos. That's true to some extent, but I'm also someone who really enjoys going out and doing like physical activity. I work out every single morning. I was a pretty high level skier. I was a really high level soccer player when I was younger. So athletics have been like a huge part of my life. And well, I just wanted to share that with you as something that I guess you guys wouldn't know and really have no way of guessing. So as much as I love all this tech stuff, this is like, what I want to do and what I do all day. I do really enjoy, moving around, being active, playing sports, and that was really a huge part of my life. It really was my life up until the point I was probably about 15 or 16 years old. All right, so hopefully you found that interesting, but let's move on to the next question here. This is from the Cod Father. What is the best concept you found that works when problem solving? So good question. I think this is trying to ask strategies for problem solving that work well. So that's at least how I'm going to interpret it. The two things that I usually do whenever I'm given a problem that I haven't seen before that I'm trying to solve is first, I visualize the problem. I try to make it something more concrete. Usually these kind of coding problems, if this is what you're referring to, are pretty abstract. And if you can get some kind of drawing or visualization around it, it usually makes it a lot easier to wrap your head around. But the second thing that I always do is break the problem into smaller sub-problems to make them way easier to solve. I try to figure out what sub-problems I would need to solve the entire problem. And then if I can solve those sub-problems, well, that's just a lot easier, right? It's a lot easier to solve smaller problems first and then work your way up to the larger problem. So that's kind of all I really have to say for that. But the best thing you can do is visualize the problem and try to break it down into the simplest, easiest subproblems you possibly can, then solve those and work your way up to the final solution. All right, so moving on to the next question. This one is from Zaid, and he says, what are the mistakes you did in your programming journey so that you can guide us and we won't fall into those mistakes? All right, so good question. First thing I'll say is making mistakes is completely natural. Everyone's going to make mistakes, and don't be discouraged by those, just making sure based on the way that you worded this. But one mistake that I made that I'll focus on for this question was really not exploring all the different options when it comes to programming. So I started programming extremely young. I was about 12 years old, and I did it a lot when I was between like 12 and 15 in elementary school and kind of the beginning of high school. But for my first like 2 years of learning how to code, or learning how to code, doing, basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that, I never really looked at anything other than just that. I only looked at the web development side. I didn't even really know that there was other coding languages. I didn't know that like C++ was a thing or Python was a thing. I'd maybe heard of them, but I had no idea what they were. And I was just tunnel vision on the thing that I started on. And the reason why that's a mistake for me, at least, is because as soon as I started learning other areas or being introduced to them, I realized really quickly that I absolutely hated the web design stuff, and I really much preferred doing stuff like back-end programming, just like Python, solving problems, making little games. That was a lot more fun for me, and if I had found that earlier, I think that just would have been better. So I would encourage everybody to try to kind of look around, at least when you're starting, and figure out what you actually like, try some different things out, and then focus on what you like once you've realized kind of what there is actually out there. Anyways, let's move on to the next question. This one is from Rebecca, and I believe this is a she, and she says, when you first started your learning path, how many hours per day did you invest in learning and practice? Now, this is a really tough question for me to answer because I never started learning coding because I wanted to be a software engineer, or I wanted to be a programmer. I just started learning how to code because I thought it was fun and it was enjoyable. So I never like tracked my hours. I was also started learning this a really long time ago, again, when I was like 12 or 13. But I would probably say I put in like 2 or 3 hours a day. Like when I was 12, 13, 14, like I would watch some tutorial videos, I would code it out along with them. I'd do maybe, 4 or 5 in a day, something like that, take a break, and then start the next day. It wasn't something that I thought about. I just kind of did as much as I enjoyed. And that's how I started out. So it's hard for me to really give you a good answer here, but that's kind of all I can tell you, maybe about 2 or 3 hours a day, a rough estimate. All right, so moving on to the next question. This one is from Jay, and he says, what do you think are the IT/tech jobs that will blow up in the next 5 years? If I can pick a general tech career path now, which one should it be? So good question. I'm going to be honest with you here. I really don't know. I have no idea. Tech changes so quickly. So many things are happening. 5 years ago, if you asked me this question, my answer would be completely different than it was now, or even, a year later. All I'll say for this is because I don't follow the job market. I don't follow the trends. I don't really know, is that I think it's really interesting what Apple's doing with their new machines, their new processors. I believe they're called the M1 processors. Don't quote me, but I think that's what they're called. And it seems like that may open up a possibility for a lot more developers on Apple machines or on that specific architecture, because I believe that processor is actually capable of running iOS apps as well. So I think it's like the ARM architecture. I believe that's what it's called. But anyways, it's really cool. And I think that is going to open up a lot of jobs programming for that specific architecture, because now that will work for your iPad, that will work for your phone, and it will work for your computer, which I might be wrong, but I don't think there's something like that already. So anyways, that's going to be my answer to that. Sorry to disappoint you, but that's kind of all I have for you. All right, so moving on to the next question. This one is from Magmer, and they say, if you could create your own programming language, what would you call it? And what would the syntax of it be? Would it be compiled or interpreted? So good question. This one was actually really creative, definitely caught my eye because no one else asked something like this, so that's why I'm picking it. But if you could create your own programming language, what would you call it? Good question. Obviously, I haven't really thought about this, but I would probably call it something like TimScript. Put my name in it somewhere, like, something like that. I don't have any like other creative names that I could use. So let's go with TimScript. What would the syntax of it be? It would probably be pretty similar to Python. And then he's asking, would it be compiled or interpreted? Ideally, I would like it to be compiled, but I would want it to be like kind of like a Python JavaScript combo or like mesh. where it has like features from both of them because I really like both of those languages, and then maybe throw in a bit of Go too and make something like that. Honestly, I have no idea. This is me just rambling off the top of my head, but let's go with compiled, and let's say it's a combination of Go, Python, and JavaScript. That would be my ideal programming language called TimScript. All right, so let's move on to the next question. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name for this one, and it says, when can I call myself a programmer? So I remember I laughed a little bit when I read this one, and not to be offensive to whoever's asking the question, but just because a lot of people get hung up on titles, right? They're like, am I a junior dev? Am I a senior dev? Am I a web developer? Am I a Python programmer? Like all these different titles, and like, what is the justification for calling yourself that? To be honest, I have no idea when you can call yourself a programmer. Like, would you call me a programmer? Am I a programmer? Do you need years of experience programming? Is there a skill test you have to pass? I have no clue. So I would honestly say, as soon as you've written one line of code, you've compiled, interpreted, ran a program, you should be able to call yourself a programmer. And then I guess you could rate yourself as a programmer after that. So anyways, I don't really have an answer for this. All I would say is don't get hung up on the titles. If you code and you program, I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't be able to call yourself a programmer regardless of your skill level. Anyways, let's go to the next one. What was the hardest point in terms of motivation in your coding journey, and how did you get past it? Now, like I said, my journey is going to be a lot different than most of yours. I started when I was really young. I can't even really remember the beginning of my coding journey. But I think in terms of motivation, it's always difficult, right? When you're stuck on some bug or you just really can't find why this program is breaking. And it's so easy to give up and just after 2 hours of, scratching your head and mashing the keyboard, just be like, I'm done with this. I don't want to learn this anymore. It's too hard, right? That would probably be something that I experienced when I was starting in my programming journey. Now, how did I get past it? Really just putting my head down and just continuing to go. Because for me, at least, it's always worth the effort and worth the struggle when I actually find that bug, or when I fix that problem, or when the program finally runs and I don't get that red error message. Doesn't matter how long I was looking at that bug or how stupid the problem was, as soon as I solve it, there's always, an overwhelming feeling of relief and like, hey, I didn't give up and I found it, and that to me is super rewarding. And well, that's how I got past it. I just put my head down and just kept doing it. So that's kind of all I have for that. Again, sorry if that's not the answer you were looking for, but that's kind of all I can give you. All right, so moving on to the next question. This one says, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? Now, if I'm correct on the definition of imposter syndrome, I believe this means something like you don't feel like you're good enough, or you don't feel like you know enough in a specific programming discipline. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but you're just like not confident in your abilities, right? Or you don't want to apply for a job because you feel like you're an imposter in the programming field or discipline you're trying to go for. Now, all I would say is that the way I deal with this is by just understanding that everybody deals with this. This is a natural thing when you're learning something new, when you're, in a field like tech where there's always people that are going to be better than you, and just having the confidence to know that you can figure something out if you really need to. That's genuinely how I get past this. If I start a job or I start working on something and I don't really know how to do it, I just have the confidence to know that I'll be able to figure it out. It might take me weeks, it might take me months, but I will figure it out. All I have to do is work hard and just keep trying to learn, and well, I'll be able to deal with it. I'll be able to figure it out. That's just kind of the way that I think about it. Maybe some people would think that's cocky, but for me, that's just confidence, and that's just the mindset that I go into everything with. If I don't know how to do something, I'm still going to take the job, or I'm still going to, try to do it because I know I'll be able to figure it out. Just how long is it going to take me to figure it out? That's the question. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years as a person and in your career as a whole? So I get asked this question a lot. I mean, a lot of people see what I'm doing on YouTube or just in my life in general, and they say, where are you going to be in 5 years? You're going to start a business? You're going to do that? The honest answer, and I give this to everyone, is I have no idea. Genuinely no clue. If I had to take a guess, I would say I'm probably still going to be doing something like this YouTube channel. It would probably be in a slightly different capacity, maybe not looking exactly like it looks today, and that I'd be running some kind of business. That would be my biggest guess. As much as I'm a software engineer and I like coding and solving problems, I'm definitely a lot more interested in kind of the business side of things. And even this channel alone, like I try to run it as much as I can like a business. So that would be kind of my biggest guess. As a person, that's kind of hard to answer, right? Like I'm only 20 years old right now. So 5 years is literally a quarter of my current life. So it's pretty hard to give an estimate on that. But yeah, that's all I'll say. I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities that are going to be presented, and well, based on what those are, I'll make decisions, and that will determine where I'm going to be. So that's my guess, and we'll move on to the next question. question. All right, so Untitled Goose, interesting name, says, how do you come up with new project ideas and how do you manage your time to be able to do YouTube, programming, college, etc.? So new project ideas, to be honest with you guys, I'm just always thinking about this. Like, I'm trying to produce content as much as I can on this YouTube channel. And well, that just leads to me constantly thinking about programming, looking at something and just having an instant click in my mind and being like, oh, that would be a cool idea. So I can't really give you like a way that I generate ideas, but whenever I do, I write them down immediately because I know I'm going to forget them. But on to your second question, how do you manage your time to be able to do YouTube, programming, college, etc.? I have a whole video where I talked about how I do this, so I won't go into it too much, but pretty much it's about prioritization and not wasting time. When I'm working, I'm not doing something else, right? I'm not wasting time. I'm not watching YouTube while I'm, focusing and doing my work for the day. And I work pretty hard, right? I work, 7 days a week, probably about 10 hours a day. Yes, I take breaks. Yes, I'm healthy. I'm doing all of that. But I'm just pretty motivated and I just work a lot and all the time. And I'm just used to doing that. And really, that's the answer. I just work a lot more than most people do. And I'm very, very careful in how I spend my time. And I try my best not to waste any of it because I know how valuable it is and how much stuff I need to get done. All right, so moving on to the next question. This one says, was college worth it for you since you were programming from high school? I'm also programming from 16 and I don't know if I should get a computer science degree or go to other uni. So interesting question. I will quickly state I'm still in college. So I just am wrapping up my 5th semester. So I'm in my 3rd year and I just finished or I'm about to finish my 1st semester. So I obviously don't have a college degree or university degree yet. So I don't really know what it would do for me or if it really is worth it. I'll say up until the current point in time, it has been worth it. As much as I've taken a lot of useless classes and there's been a lot of stuff that I really didn't need to learn and I'm never going to use, the stuff that's been really impactful for me at least has been the math skills that I've picked up in college. A lot of people might cringe at that. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't need to be good at math to be good at computer science. Totally true. I agree. You don't really need to be good at math, but it definitely helps. And my life has been a lot easier because I'm good at math and because I've taken Calculus 1, Calculus 2, discrete mathematics, all that stuff that you have to take and that they force you to do. As much as annoying, has definitely helped me. And that's probably the biggest asset that I've gotten from college, at least, is really just a good math background because I know I would have never learned that stuff on my own. So I'll say up until the current point, yes, it's worth it. My college is also significantly cheaper than it is in the United States. It's about $5,000 a semester in Canadian dollars. So I think it's not necessarily ROI positive maybe, but it's still definitely worth it, at least for me. All right, so this next question says, where did you see yourself 5 years ago and what factors were most important in leading you to where you did end up? So I will try to keep this short because I can literally talk about this for hours, but when I was 15, that was 5 years ago, I pretty much saw myself when I was older just being an average dude, right? Just being, your typical, middle-class guy, graduate, go get a degree, go get a job, hopefully make like $100K a year. That's what I wanted to do. That was literally my goal. Of course, as I got older, things changed. Already at 20, that's not at all what I want to do. I don't really just want to be an average guy. I want to do a lot more than just that. And what changed for me was really just mindset. Now, it's really hard to describe this because it's super abstract, and that was a while ago. It's hard to, go through everything. But I just stopped kind of complaining about things. I stopped asking myself or telling myself why I couldn't do something and started asking myself, how can I do something? How can I get that done? How can I complete this? No longer ever having any doubt in my head. Now, this is going to sound strange, but pretty much right now, I believe genuinely on my own head that I can do whatever I want. Now, of course, within reason, but I genuinely believe that no matter what I want to do, I'm able to do that. And it's solely up to me to figure out how to do that. It's solely in my control, but if I want to do it and I put my head to it, I'm able to do it. And it's not until I started thinking like that I was able to have any kind of success that maybe, you guys can judge for yourself that you think I would have. So obviously I can't just tell you how to have that kind of mindset, but I really just started having confidence in myself and being like, you know what, if I want to do that, I'll go and I'll figure it out. It might take me 20 years. It might take me 2 months. It might take me a week, but I will figure it out. And no one's going to tell me I can't do it because I can. I can do it if I want to. It's solely up to me. So really just taking life into my own hands, not complaining about anything, never saying, oh, you're the reason I can't do something, or that's the reason I can't do something, or I'm not smart enough. Just being like, if I want to do it, I'm going to go do it. Nothing's going to stop me. Now, of course, easier said than done, but really that's what changed. And well, that's how I got to where I am today. All right, so moving on to the next question. This one is from Jan, a channel member. Thank you for being a channel member, Jan. And they say, do you have any daily routines, cold shower, etc.? So I do have a few daily routines, nothing like too crazy, nothing like a cold shower. I don't do that. I usually get up around like 9 a.m. That might surprise some of you. I usually go to bed at like 1 a.m. or maybe like 1:30, depending on the night. And then I work out usually for probably about 45 minutes to an hour every morning. I've been doing that for about 2 months. It's been super healthy. I feel so much better, just so much more energized. I have like a little mini home gym. I'm fortunate enough to have that. So I work out every morning. Then I'll make breakfast. I'll have a coffee. I'll come downstairs to my office, usually about like 10:30 after I've showered and all that. I'll sit with a coffee for maybe like 15, 20 minutes, like read some emails, do some light work, and then kind of start my day. That's really the only routines I have. I usually try to stop working by like 9 or 10 p.m. That doesn't always happen, but pretty much I try to stop, like after dinner sometime, like 8, 9, 10, like depending on how much work I have to do, and then enjoy the rest of my night. Get up and do the same thing. I do that 7 days a week. All right, so now let's move on to the next question. This says, how is the voiceover for your videos getting created? Do you prepare a script or bullet points before, or you just prepare the topic in your head before? So I actually don't script any of my videos. I have maybe 1 or 2 videos where I read a script, but that's only if there was something like really specific that I didn't want to mess up. Everything that I say strictly comes from the top of my head. Don't ask me how I do it. I honestly have no idea. It's, probably 3 years of practice and about 500 videos, but I come up with like a general idea, like a general guideline that I want to follow. And usually I don't even write that down. I just kind of think about it beforehand, and then I just go, I film the video. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 takes. If I'm talking to the camera like this, usually it takes me longer than when I'm just sitting at my microphone, kind of more in the laid back, comfortable position coding. But yeah, that's kind of the answer to that question. Not much more I can say to that. So anyways, with that is going to conclude this video. So I hope you guys learned something about me. I hope you thought these questions or these answers were meaningful and useful. Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them in the comments down below. One last thank you to everyone here for 500K. Really, this is unbelievable. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, don't expect me to go away anytime soon. I have huge plans for this channel, and I can't wait to see where it's going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and so on. And I hope you're with me for the journey. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you're not, and I will see you in another YouTube video.